During the process of collecting the amount from the customer, of course, they will incur certain expenses. When there is easy flow of cash in the organization, of course, the production also increases in the organization. The duty of the organization is done by some other person, that is factor, right? So this may lead to the overconfidence in the minds of the organization. This factoring is suitable only for the big organization where there will be number of credit transactions. Hello everyone, I am Arshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidyashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, Mysore. Today we are in the third session of Unit 4, that is factoring. So my dear students, we were discussed many concepts relating to factoring. Let us quickly recall what we have discussed in a previous session. So in a previous session, we have covered this topic, that is process of factoring. So that is also called as factoring mechanism. So we have already learnt about this topic. Next, features of factoring, features or nature of factoring. Next, we have studied about functions of factor. So what are the various functions that has to be performed by a factor? Now who is a factor? One who undertake this factoring activity is called as factor. So we have learned what are the functions of a factor. In today's session, we shall continue with new topic, that is advantages of factoring. Let us see what are the advantages of factoring. We have already learned what is the meaning of factoring and how it has to be performed, in the sense process of factoring. Now let us see what are the advantages of factoring. A firm that enters into factoring agreement is benefited into a number of advantages. So let us see what are the advantages. So we are going to discuss some of the advantages today. So the first one is improves efficiency. So factoring is an important tool for the efficient receivables management. So factoring is nothing but what? It always deals with the receivables management. That is nothing but converting this receivables into cash and providing to the client, that is the organization. So factor provides specialized service with regards to sales ledger administration. It's nothing but on the basis of credit sales, whatever the amount that has to be received from the customers. So on behalf of the organization, a new person will be appointed who is known as factor. And what is the duty of the factor? To collect the amount from the customer on behalf of the organization. So it always deals with the account receivables where it can be immediately converted into cash. So it also deals with credit control, etc. Factoring relieves the client from botheration of debt collection. Of course, on behalf of organization, here the factor is going to collect the debt. So it relieves the botheration of the organization. And the second advantage is that higher credit standing. So factoring generates cash for selling firm. So here the firm who have sold the goods on credit basis, for them this factoring helps by providing the cash. So it can use this cash for other purpose also. So here the organization need not wait for a particular period of time where they have to receive the cash from the customers. For example, if the duration of the credit transaction is 3 months, then the organization have to wait till 3 months in order to receive the cash from the customer. But if the organization goes for this factoring, so what they will do? So they will get the immediate cash amount on this credit sales. So with the advance payment made by the factor, it is possible for the client to pay his liability in time. So it helps the firm because this factor will provide the advance payment, right? So on the date of agreement, so it will pay 80% of the bills receivable as advance payment. So that amount will be used by the organization for paying the liabilities in time. So this improves the credit standing of the client before the public. So it increases the credit standing worthiness. So that is the credit worthiness of the organization will be improved because they can pay the liabilities in time. And the next one is reduces cost. So let us see how this factoring will reduce the cost. So the client need not have to have a special administrative setup to look after the credit control. Hence, it can save manpower, time as well as effort. So as I told you, on behalf of the organization, here a new person is being appointed who is known as factor or the institution. So here the duty of the factor is to collect the amount from the customers, right? So here the organization need not waste the time. So it can go on doing the activity. So along with that saving of time, it also saves the money of the organization. Since the factoring facilitates steady and reliable cash flows, client can cut cost and expenses. So during the process of collecting the amount from the customer, of course they will incur certain expenses. So here the organization need not incur that expenses, so it will be borne by whom? By the factor itself. For him certain amount has to be given and all the expenses will be borne by the factor itself. So it can avail cash discounts, further it can avoid production delays. So there will be no production delays because there will be a continuous flow of cash in the organization. And the next one is additional source. So this is an additional source for an organization. So funds from a factor is an additional source of finance for the client. So here client means organization. So it is an additional source for the organization. So factoring releases the funds tied up in the credit extended to customers and solves the problem relating to collection, delays and default of receivables. So if there is due to this factoring, here the organization will not face the problem of delay in collecting the amount from the customer because they can get immediate cash from the factor itself. Next, advisory service. We have already discussed along with collecting the amount from the customers, it gives advisory services that is relating to the borrowing of funds from the financial institution. So a factor firm is a specialized agency for the better management of receivables. Of course, it always deals with the receivables that we know. Next, the factor access the finance, operational as well as managerial capabilities of customers. Along with providing funds from the customers, it also acts as a financial, operational as well as managerial capabilities to the customers. In this way, the factor analyzes whether the debts are collectible. So because as I told you, before a factor takes an agreement between an organization, that is about factoring, so first he will see whether the customers are able to pay the debt or not. The customers are able to pay that amount on credit sales or not. So depending upon the credit worthiness, then only it will take the agreement. So along with that, it provides advisory services to the organization to borrow the funds from the financial institution. It collects valuable information about the customers and supplies the same for the benefit of its client. That is, to see the credit worthiness of the customers. It improves all management and administrative support from the stage of deciding credit extension to the customers to the final stage of debt collection. So along with that, it provides advisory services to collect the amount from the customers easily. It advocates best credit policy suitable for the firm because it will have sufficient knowledge about the finance, so it will guide the organization about the credit worthiness as well as which type of finance is suitable for the organization. And the next one is acceleration of production cycle. So with cash available for credit sales, client firm liquidity will also improve. So it also improves in liquidity because it helps in conversion into cash immediately, will improve. In this way, its production cycle will also be accelerated. So when there is easy flow of cash in the organization, of course, the production also increases in the organization. Next, advocate credit period for customers. So of course, it will provide credit period for the customer. Here the organization need not worry about the collection from the customer. On the other side, it helps the customer because the organization will get the finance from the factor, right? So after the due date, customer can relieve and they can make the payment. So customer can get advocate credit period for the payment of assigned debts. So if the duration is for 2 months, So if the organization is in urgent need of money, then it will demand the customers to give the amount immediately. But in case of this factoring, so of course, if the organization want the amount immediately, then that amount will be provided by the factor, right? So here the customer can relieve themselves because after the due date they can make the payment. And the next one is competitive terms to offer. So the client firm will be able to offer competitive terms to its buyers. So there will be a competitive terms which will be given to the buyers. So this will improve the sales as well as profits of the organization. Since the immediate cash will be provided by the factor, so the organization can relieve themselves. At the same time, it is relief for the customers also. Thereby, it improves the sales and profits of the organization. So these are the few advantages of factoring. Now let us see what are the limitations of factoring. So the main limitations of factoring are outlined as below. Let us see what are the limitations of factoring. So the first one is factoring may lead to overconfidence in the behavior of the client. So why it leads to overconfidence? Of course, the duty of the organization is done by some other person, that is factor, right? So this may lead to the overconfidence in the minds of the organization or client. So this results in overtrading as well as mismanagement. Because of this overconfidence, so this may lead to overtrading as well as mismanagement. And the second limitation is that there are chances of fraudulent act on the part of the client also, because the client may show fake invoice. So the client may give fake invoice to the factor and tells the factor to collect the amount from the customer. So there may be a chances that even from the side of the client there may be a fake invoice which is been prepared. So invoicing against non-existent goods or duplicate invoicing, etc. are some of the commonly found frauds. So there may be a chances of fraud from the client also. So they may prepare fake invoice or fraudulent invoice. So these would create problem to the factor. But what is the duty of the factor? Of course, what is there in the invoice, he has to collect that money from the customer. So this ultimately be a burden to the factor. Next, third one is lack of professionalism and competence, resistance to changes, etc. Some of the problems which have made factoring service unpopular. So if there is more competence and if there is no professionalism, at the same time if there is continuous fluctuation, so these are the few problems which is faced by the factoring. Next, factoring is not suitable for small companies with less turnover, companies with speculative business, companies having large number of debtors for small amounts, etc. Now, this factoring is suitable only for the big organization where there will be number of credit transaction. But when compared to the small organization where the number of transaction is very less, so this type of factoring is not suitable. And the next limitation is that factoring may impose constraint on the way to the business. For non-recourse factoring, most factor will want to pre-approve customers. So this may cause delays. So further, the factor will apply credit limits to individual customers. So here, before a factor agrees for this factoring agreement, they will check the liquidity of the customer. So this is also one of the drawback, right? So seeing the liquidity of the customer and agreeing the factoring agreement, so this is also one of the limitations of factoring. Now let us discuss a new topic, that is securitization of debt or assets. Now what do you mean by this? So securitization is nothing but conversion of illiquid assets into marketable securities. So illiquid assets into marketable securities is called as securitization. Marketable securities is called as securitization. So for this, I'll give a best example here. Suppose A is a borrower who is in need of money. So what A will do? A will consult the bank. So, in order to take money from the bank, what A has to give? A has to give some security. For example, he has mortgaged his house in the bank and he has taken loan from the bank. Now, this house is what? It is a illiquid asset. So, it is a asset. It has future value. So, it has value, but it cannot be immediately converted into cash. So, by keeping this in the bank, that is keeping the document of house in the bank. So, here the bank will provide loan to A. Bank will provide loan to A. In the same way, there are number of customers like B, C, D and E. So, these are the number of customers. So, they also want loan. So, what they will do? So, they also keep some mortgage. So, they will keep some mortgage and take loan from the bank. Now, there is no sufficient amount in the bank. So, there is no liquid flow of money in the bank. So, what the bank will do? Bank will consult another party which is called as SPV, Special Purpose Vehicle. Now, what the bank will do? Bank has all the mortgage, that is illiquid assets here. So, it has taken all the illiquid asset and provided loan to the borrowers. Now, it has all the illiquid asset, but it does not have flow of cash. So, in such situation, what the bank will do? Bank will give all the illiquid asset to special purpose vehicle. Now, it has transferred all the illiquid assets to SPV, that is special purpose vehicle. Now, SPV have taken all that mortgage assets. So, it has all the documents of the borrowers, that is the borrowers who have taken loan from the bank. Now, SPV keeping that document, it will go for credit rating agency, CRA, credit rating agency. Now, here also they have mortgage asset, but they don't have sufficient amount of cash. Okay, that is sufficient flow of cash. In the sense, these are called as well illiquid asset. Keeping that illiquid asset, it goes for credit rating agency to see that whether these borrowers, that is the owner of this mortgage asset, whether these borrowers are financially feasible to pay the loan which they have taken from the bank. That is, the credit rating agency will check the credit worthiness of all the borrowers. Now, what they will do? By seeing the credit worthiness, so if the credit worthiness is very good, so keeping this mortgage loan, SPV starts selling the marketable securities in the public. So, here he will sell the marketable securities. Marketable security. So, it may be debentures, bonds. So, here keeping that mortgage assets, by seeing the credit worthiness, what the SPV will do, keeping that as a backbone. So, what they will do, it will issue marketable securities to the public. So, when marketable securities are issued to the public, what the public will do? Public will purchase that marketable security. Now, the flow of cash comes to SPV. So, there is a flow of cash because they have purchased, public have purchased a marketable security and the cash flows to whom? SPV. Now, what the SPV will do, that is special purpose vehicle, it will transfer that cash to the bank. So, by keeping that mortgage security or illiquid asset, on the basis of that, securities will be issued to the public and the public will purchase that security, and whatever the cash comes from that, from selling of security, so that cash will be transferred to bank again. Now, what the bank will do? Bank again will incur all the transaction which is relating to cash. So, this is about securitization of debt. So, here illiquid asset is what? That mortgage security. So, keeping that security, it has been converted into cash. So, how it has been converted into cash? So, it is being converted into marketable security, and marketable security is being sold in the public and public will purchase that marketable security. So, thereby illiquid asset has been converted into cash. So, this is about securitization of debt or asset. So, loan given to customers are assets. Of course, it is an asset for the bank, right? So, they are called as what? Loan assets. Clear? Unlike investment asset, loan assets are not traded as well as transferable. So these loan assets cannot be traded as well as transferable. For example, here A is a customer or A is a borrower who has mortgaged his house. That is the document of the house in the bank. Whereas this house cannot be traded in the market, right? So it is called as illiquid asset. So thus loan assets are not liquid. So it is nothing but what? It is a illiquid asset. The problem is how to make loan to bank liquid. So how to convert this mortgage property into a liquid asset, that is into a cash. This problem can be solved by transferring the loans into marketable security. If you have understood this example, so it is very easy to understand the explanation. So this problem can be transferred by transferring the illiquid asset into marketable security. Now loans become liquid, they get the characteristics of marketability. So that loan has been converted into marketable security in the form of debenture as well as bonds. So this is done through the process of securitization. So hope you are clear about securitization. It is conversion of illiquid asset into cash is called as securitization. So securitization is a financial innovation. It is a conversion of existing or future cash flows into marketable security that can be sold to the investors. So that is conversion of illiquid assets or the future cash flows. Of course, when you sell the house, completely sell the house, they will get the cash, right? So it is a future cash flow. But currently we want immediate cash. So in such cases, using that mortgage security, we can convert into cash in the form of marketable security. It is a process by which financial assets such as loan receivable, credit card balance, hire purchase debtors, lease receivables, trade debtors are transferred into security. Thus, any asset with predictable cash flows can be securitized. So, if any asset is having value in the future, so that asset can be converted into cash in the form of selling in the form of marketable security. Now let us see what is the meaning of securitization. So securitization is defined as a process of transformation of illiquid asset into security. That is conversion of illiquid asset into security that can be traded later in the open market. So that security can be traded open or openly in the market. So in short, securitization is a transformation of illiquid or non-marketable securities into security which are liquid and marketable assets. Hope you are clear with this explanation. It is a process of transformation of assets of a lending institution into a negotiable instrument. So, negotiable instrument in the sense what? It can be transferred from one person to another. So, here illiquid asset like mortgage loan can be converted into negotiable instrument which can be transferred from one person to another. So, securitization is different from factoring. Of course, securitization is different from factoring. So, what do you mean by factoring? As I have told you, so on behalf of organization, a new party has been appointed who is known as factor, where the duty of the factor is to convert the bills receivable. That is, on behalf or keeping the bills receivable, they are going to receive the cash. So, factoring involves transfer of debts without transferring debt into marketable security. Of course, in factoring, there is no conversion of debt into marketable security. So, till the end of due date, they have to wait and they have to get the cash. But securitization always involves transformation of illiquid asset into marketable securities which can be traded in the open market. Hope you are clear with securitization. As I told you, if you have understood that example, it is very easy to understand the explanation. So, in my next session, we shall see who are the parties in the securitization transaction. So, who are the parties who are involved in this securitization? Next, advantages of securitization. So, we shall discuss about now. In today's session, we have learned what is the meaning. In my next session, we shall discuss about parties of securitization as well as advantages of securitization. So, my dear students, hope you have understood the concept. See you all in my next session. Till then, take care. Thank you.